now we have two great members of the club, Kevin Darcy and John Roarke. Thanks lads for joining us here this morning. And were you involved in 51 or 2 then? Were you at them games?
I was at, but I wasn't a player.
Yeah.
52 one, Teacher Grinham was in the goals and Tom was full back.
Right.
And that finished up a draw game.
Oh, we didn't.
Answered me, brother, the mental hospital, I think we were playing, and there were a pint. No, Rosemount was a pint up, and the mental hospital got a 50. But this man that was taking the 50s, they all just skimmed over the crossbar. And I was up, I went up to the far end, and I was standing on the end line between the goals and the corner flag. And this 50 was taken, and they were expecting this man to just skim it over the bar. But my brother Tom and Teacher Grinnan had a little chat, and I was still standing on the end line. And Tom come running up to the corner flag as your man was going out to take the 50. And all went well. Tom was coming a step and watching, keeping your eye on the man all the time. But got a bit, about 2 pairs before he come to the goals, he started to gather a bit of speed and watched your man and watched the ball come, and he went about 2 foot over the bar and caught the ball. And then he started tippling his toe and over to the sideline and kicked it, I think it come up towards shop. And the ref there waiting to blow the final whistle, and the whistle in his hand, and they had to wait by a hand that they got the ball back to the ref and then blew the final whistle of the draw game.
And that was in 52?
52.
And tell us, you were a part of the panel then in 53 yourself?
I was again like a spare wheel all the time. Anytime there was tournaments around, I was a senior. And I was captain of the junior team as well, trying to keep that going. But that's starting off a junior game, and you only have 8 or 9 lads, and lads that we brought back Billy Kennedy. He trained the Westmeath team, I think, one time. And yeah, we kept it going. But I was more interested in keeping the juniors going and playing full back, and then I played centre field and all that sort of thing. But it was just very hard to get them properly interested at all.
Yeah.
No.
And tell us about the morning of the 53 final. Your brother was trying to find you.
Trying to find me, and I was going across the fields, I was just walking around. But I heard this shouting going on. And it, so eventually Tom come in the field and me, I was in the next field, I couldn't get out with no job. He says, Michael Lane warned me to tell you to get the Mullingar today, be hook or be crook.
For the senior county final?
For the senior final. And I didn't know what to make of that. And like there was lots of other players. Larry Grinnan was a good player. The only thing about him was that he didn't like playing because Sonny Cannon was playing. Because Sonny Cannon passed him the ball one day around the 21-yard mark. And what did Larry Grinnan do when he started out with it instead of in? And Sonny Cannon went over and he gave him a kick as good as he was, as hard as he. And poor Larry wasn't able to play anymore. He gave him a real good hard kick. And he told me, he says, the next time you get the ball, go that way. He said, not that way. And when we come in off the game, Larry Green went over to Jack McNair, he was in charge of the team that time. And he said, I'm not playing any more football while Sonny Cannon was on the team. And Sonny Cannon did stay with the team for 3 years more. And then when he went off to England or somewhere, Larry Gwynn went out and played 2 or 3 years more with the Rosemount. And should be on it the whole time because he'd do more good than Sonny Ken do. All he does is race around.
And going back to the 53 final then, there was no dressing rooms in Cusack Park at the time, so...
There was an old tin shed in the corner, but she wouldn't bother going up to it.
Yeah. So where did you get togged out, or...?
But Owen Grinders was the 15 there anyway. And then sure, there was no one left when I was out in the... I went and walked up from the town up with the 15. I was one of the 15. And...
So we had 15 players for the county final in 53.
yes, and no subs.
And well, what happened then?
Well, I couldn't know what was going on down below behind the goals. Because I walked up the field where I seen a few men and one of them happened to be the referee. And after that, big father Paul came up and asked me would I know it's hard, he says, I can remember it so well. It's a hard thing to do to be on a team and then have to strip off and give it to someone else. I said, hey father, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it. And he asked me, well, will you give them to him again? I will, said I. And took them off, out in the field.
So you gave your togs and your boots to another player?
But he had to slip off and put them on.
Yeah.
Well up the field on the right hand side. In Cusack Park.
And tell us, what did you...
I just got a top coat and went over and sat on the sideline on the opposite side. And I didn't know what was going on with the officials down and who was playing or who wasn't after that. Just looked at the game and it was all over, went back and gave the man back his top coat and got me. No, I had to walk back down to the shop to get me clothes.
Back to Grames's?
Yeah.
So the current players are a bit better looked after than you were in the 50s.
That's enough. You never know when you were playing.
Yeah.
But I was always called on when the tournament games or charity games or anything like that. I was always playing with the seniors.
Yeah. And have you seen much changes in the GA over your lifetime from...
Sure, of course there's changes. Yes, the way they played. I remember the old senior team, Joe Clavin in the goals. And Joe Clavin died while he was still a footballer.
Right.
He got what they call rapid consumption and he died instead of a week or something. But while he was playing, he used to have me or someone like me, Tony Boland there, he lived beside him, and he'd have the top coat even if a fine summer's day. Now when the ball is in the other end of the field, just come in, I'd be down my uncles and you put the coat over me. Yeah. And when I say run and pull the coat off and stand back. But the way they used to jump, that's what when George Clavin would see a man coming with the ball, he'd be out, see a man coming 20 yards away, more. He'd run out to meet him, and then he'd give a jump, and he was about 6 foot off the ground, and he's sailing like that, with the boots going first, and anyone was coming in, first in the mess was the boots. Straight into the chest, and do that 2 or 3 times.
So a lad wouldn't be fond of running into him, I'd say.
No. And I've seen Jack Darby do that a few times, and I've seen Johnny Haley do it.
Yeah.
And the way they were able to stay up, that was you think there was something that were being carried.
And I suppose there's been a lot of changes here in the football field.
Oh, sure, I've seen all that and whole heap of no gravel pit. Yes. Yes. That was
it's a big difference.
And it was all hills. That was all hills and hollows, and then when they start levelling it off, and it was all stone. And Father Kieran, of course, was the priest at the time. Around 11 o'clock he'd land out of the school. All down to the park now, pick stones. And we'd be delighted. Pick stones every day. That was the education we got.
Yeah. And before that then, some of the other men were telling me that they used to play football in, I think, was it Connell's Field and Egan's Field. Do you remember them days?
And there was a...
Bit of flat ground.
Yeah. Yeah, it's where Larry Hannafield lived, and we played there, and yes. But the most mysterious football field of all was Clary's Field below in Slingstone. And there was a ground pitch to play at. You'd think it was all a spring. But the next thing it started to sink and finished up a lake.
Go away.
That's the truth, yes. A lake. And that's why I always considered myself going higher for a ball when you'd be playing on that field. You'd think it was on a match or. Yeah.
There was a bit of spring in it.
And mind you, there were some great players, some great games played in Clary's Field. I wouldn't find it now, but I think you had to go through 2 fields and then into this playing field.
Yeah.
And that was a fairly regular. It wasn't every Sunday, it was every second Sunday you'd be down there playing football.
And tell us, in them days, I suppose there was very little else to do.
There was nothing.
Football was all you had to look forward to.
That's there, go up and catch rabbits. And there was pitch and toss. Crowd at every crossroads. Pegging 2 halfpennies up in there and see what had gone down heads. And there wouldn't be a £5 in the whole. All the money would go drop, and all trying to take a few pennies or other lot.
Pitch and toss.
Pitch and toss. And I seen Johnny Haley below at a pitch and toss below as the Rosemount Road goes on and then 6.
Yeah.
And we had, I think the county was playing that day, and Johnny Haley, a regular county man, a half back. And Rob Mayers, fair play to him, he went into Larrake's and Jimmy Larrake was there. And he told the story to Jimmy Larrake. Oh my God, we'll have to get that man morning out. Oh, I know, that's why Jimmy used to know. Oh, he come with his little lorry and so Johnny Haley the back, come on, into the cab with him. And then all the lads started to jump into the back of
the lorry.
And a lorry load all down to see Johnny Haley playing.
For Westmeath.
All the money got, and the game was just starting when Johnny landed.
Stop.
Yes.
What year was that, Kevin?
Oh, no. Oh, what year it be? I suppose it could be in the 50s. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John, tell us, you probably don't remember as far back as Kevin.
No,
but,
not even near it.
but what are your earlier memories of the GA in Rosemount?
Well, the first ones I remember are the Comortas and Munskull now, where Rosemount was joined up with Motor originally anyway. And I think Jim Gagan and a couple more were on the first team that won it anyway. And they won 6 in a row then. They were with Motor, I think, for a couple of years, and then they joined up with Horsley. And they won, I think, about 3 or 4 more Comortas and Munskull. And then it moved on to under 14 and under 16 level, like, you know, there was a good, great crew of players, like, you know. They were beaten in an under 14 final anyway by Moors. And then they won 2 under 16s against Tower-Clare and Moors. And then they moved on to minor, and there was a great minor final in '79. It was played after the county final, which wasn't a great game between Mullingar and I think it was Athlone. And then we were beaten by Athlone by a couple of points, I think, in the final. And the following year then, we won the minor final for the first time, I don't know, in a long, long time. And that was the nucleus of the team that went on to win the senior championship then.
In '89?
In '89, yeah.
So the minor final was on after the senior?
After the senior final, yeah. And a good crowd stayed to see it now. It wasn't as good as the previous game where we were beaten in the final. But then, now in the senior championship then, it was on a league basis then up to '82. and then in '83 then they changed it to knockout. So we were kind of excited in that because we reckoned knockout would suit Rosemount better, and they played Clare in the first knockout game anyway, and we thought we had a good chance, like, because we had good enough players. And James Egan, who had one of the senior players there from Ballinderry there, kicked the first point of the game, and unfortunately that was the only score, and we were beaten 2-4 to a point that day. So we got over it anyway, and the following year then we played Milltown Pass in the first game, and Milltown Pass was after coming up from intermediate the year before, and we beat them really well now, beat them by 9 points I think, and we played Athlone then in Moat on a scorching day, and Frank Tone was picked at centre half back that day, and didn't he get hurted after 10 or 11 minutes. Tom Darcy was full forward that day, and in the last minute of the game I think Rosemount got a 50 and went in. I think Tom caught it and let fly, and it just shaved the post. We were beaten by 2 points, and Athlone went on to win the championship fairly well. They beat Moat well in the final anyway, and we reckon like that was a good team. And then of course we were the following year then, '85, we played Moat in the first round, and we wouldn't have been favourites now because Moat had been in the county final, and we beat them by I think 3 or 4 points in Athlone. So the next game was against Ballymore. So of course we thought all we had to do was turn up against Ballymore anyway. And I don't know, for some reason the game finished 2 points each. In the whole game now, 2 points each. So we couldn't understand it. As Pat King says, a very strange game at the time. Following replay then, we beat them well and won 9 I think to 3 points or that. Then we were into a semi-final for the first time in years now, and played Clare in Athlone again, 2 points all again. I think it was 0-0 at half time, but I can't be sure. But I know that Clare got an equaliser in the last minute of the game. So of course then the replay again, and the replay was in Mullingar, and we were beaten, I think it was about 1-2 to 3 points, and Clare went on to beat Malachy's in the final, like, you know,
In
85.
85.
Yeah, like that was really one that got away, I thought anyway.
Yeah.
And kind of they kept building up anyway, and finally things fell right in '89.
Yeah.
Like, which was really great, like, you know.
And while I don't remember much of it, but I heard a bit about it.
Yeah.
The semi-final wasn't really going our way, and
It wasn't. No, we were lucky enough now in the first game. We played against Kinnegad in the first game, and like they had, Jack Coney was 18 at the time, and he was probably one of the best players in Westmeath because he was on the minor and senior panels. They had Larry Giles, they had John Fleming, like, you know, they had a good team now,
Yeah.
and we got a goal I think near the end. We beat them anyway, and then we played Milltown Pass again. I wasn't at that game now, and we absolutely obliterated them, like, you know. So then we were into a semi-final again against Moat. So we were fairly confident anyway, but we were abysmal in the first half. We could have been out the gate at half time, like, anyway. And with 8 minutes to go, I remember looking at the watch, 8 points to 3, and this is dire stuff anyway. And the next thing, Mixie Malloy, or I think Andrew Boland, he went to Mixie Malloy. Mixie Malloy passed it a jockey, goal. Kick out came anyway, and went out into the middle of the field. The ball was kicked back in. A fella called Paul Horn got it from Moat and kicked it out the field again, straight to Andrew Boland. Andrew Boland kicked it back in, who Paul Horn would have been marking jockey. Jockey sidestepped the goalie and bang again. And
2 goals.
next thing, 2 goals. I'd say in 50 seconds, and they scored I think 3 or 4 points after that anyway. And of course then we're into the final. So like now Athlone were the defending champions, like, you know, so like it was going to be a tall order, and then Tom Gaggan was in a car accident then in the Saturday evening, so we didn't know what the story was, like, you know, how good his wife was hurted now, fairly serious, alright. So they drafted in, Noel Lynham was played in the semi-final, but then wasn't playing in the final, so he was drafted in then, and they moved Andrew Ball into midfield. and they did play well again at Athlone, but again scoring was an issue again, like like always. But eventually the power just took over, and they ended up winning fairly well, in the end.
And Kevin, come back to you then. 89 then, your nephew Tom was one of the main men on the field and the first man in 40 years nearly to lift the Flanagan Cup. I'd say that was a proud day for you and all the family.
Well, coming off the field, that now he says, you got the last medal. I don't know how many years I was in the gap. Now he's then getting the next one. It was the 21st medal when Father O'Farrell was giving out the medals in Rosemount later on the year. He had 15 given out when he had 3, they get 3 for the subs. They were given out. And he got 3 more made. He had 21 medals altogether and still hadn't enough. And a lot of the players that should have got them didn't turn up at all for them.
Right.
Yes. Larry Grinnan, was one man and he was well entitled to a medal and was always there and very obliging and played everything he was asked to play. And of course TJ Grinnan was in the goals for the 52 year before that. And himself and Tom played so well together, you see. When Tom would be run out the block, someone coming in, he'd shout for TJ, and he was a good goalie.
Yeah.
And he got no medal.
Right.
No. And the 2 men that was entitled to medals and done a lot for Rosemount.
Yeah.
And they should have got it, both of them.
And then going back to 89 then, I'd say there was huge celebrations then when we did get across the line again.
Oh, sure there was, yes. But we had a big night in Morse and we all got flags. And of course we had too much strength. And so they gave Johnny Haley this big picture anyway. And Johnny was, sure that's not me at all. Whenever we got to console him. It wasn't made any difference. Now I go home. But it wasn't too much enlightening. You know, I was kicking a ball, and that's all it was.
Yeah.
So, but Johnny Haley was furious. It wasn't his fault at all. And he couldn't see through that it was really a night out.
Yeah, and John, I suppose going back to 89 and then when they did go over the line, I suppose there was a lot of euphoria around.
Oh, there was, yeah. There was, you see, there was no style around like the time.
Yeah.
So, first of all, kind of after the previous games, we used to go into maybe the Streamstown on the way home. But I think after that, then we went into Bennett's, I think, first of all, and then we went into Murray's pub in Mullingar, and then we probably stopped in Streamstown for one as well. But the main thing was in the hotel, and that anyway. The following night, I think it was in Horseleap, I think we were, and the night after that, then it was Streamstown. I had to make sure we done it. Now they were in the Shebeen the following morning, but I didn't know about that. As I heard they were in there at 10 o'clock, and not only that, then the Athlone guys came over. The Athlone team came over, and
Set up with you.
Yeah, I wasn't in it now, but I heard Jumbo Kane, you see, was full forward for Athlone at the time, and John Fox was full back for Rosemount, Johnny Ballandary, and simply Jumbo came over. He says, "Go up there, young Gosson, and buy your daddy a drink."
All the time I heard about the 1943 minor final, and no transport anywhere. Like in 43, the war was going on at that time, and no petrol and no nothing. So again, they were all wondering how they were going to get to Castletown to play the game. And the Haley's be out in Haley Street, and Johnny and Marty. Johnny was a genuine minor, all right. He was only 17. But Marty, I think, was 3-year-old. And still a minor. And then they had Peter Carroll. And they had Maisin Heine from Bala. And they were all well up in their 20s. And they were all minors. But the transport end of it then was Rob Haley's and Johnny's father. He was working on the road drawing gravel and had to start every morning at 7 o'clock. So they decided they'd ask him for the lend of the horse and car to get to Castletown. Iron shod wheels. Well, he says you can have them, but don't let him get hungry. And have him back here tied to the door here at 7 o'clock on Monday morning. I have to be in Castletown at 7 o'clock with a jug of gravel. And it all worked out, and Rob Haley was in charge of the horse. And sure, you can imagine that the load of lads that was up in that horse and car, and they'd have to get down and walk and give the horse a chance to get up a hill and all this. But they got there and won the game.
And that was a minor final?
A minor.
43.
Yeah, I forget who they were playing, but they came back to Streeps round in. And Jack McNeil was still in charge at that time. And he went into the pub to see how they were getting on. Well, he says, that is the record. 20 pints along the counter for 20 minors. So Johnny Haley told me that 100 times. 20 pints for 20 minors.
And say, have you any other memories over the years, or?
But you're anything Johnny Haley told me, didn't throw the things I had.
Yeah.
But I remember they'd say that Billy Kennedy was being buried in Rosemount. And Tom got Maisin Heine and Peter Carroll together. And they were the two oldest on that minor team. I forget really what they talked about around, but it was thrown together, and Billy Kennedy was just as old. But it was Master Hickey that always fixed up the different players and put different names on them. Lads who was
Overage.
Say put down names of lads who was genuine under 18. So we had and the same thing happened then when we were playing minors in 1948. Tom had to be Kevin, and Kevin had to be Seamus. Yeah. And then of course there was some great speaks. Frank Aiken from Tubber came down and played with us. And the job was to know how he was a Paddy Daly, and Paddy of course never played football here in Ballina.
Oh, Paddy down there, yeah.
Yeah, he got chased when the car broke up or something. He
Paddy
won
and Johnny,
over.
yeah.
But he says to the who was training us at the time, how am I going to remember that name, Paddy Daly? And Jimmy Buckley spoke up. Just tell him the turkey died at the rate collector was your uncle. Their mother was a died. No, but of course he didn't. His name wasn't actually. He'd make sure that he. But Frank Aiken was a very fast and kept running, and he wouldn't get his name taken.
Yeah. Yeah. There was plenty of.
But not a terrible great footballer at the same time. He was running, but getting it over the bar, running the bar, he wouldn't be an expert at.
Yeah.
No. But he was with us anyway.
And then, John, I suppose after 89 then, I suppose we were in county finals again in 93
We
and
had
85.
a great team there. Like, the only unfortunate thing was that the following year, Moat beat us in the first round in Athlone. Jerry Haven was in the first year. I think he got 1-2 that day. Then the following year, we were in a semi-final. We got to a semi-final against Mullingar, but we were beaten in Cusick Park by Mullingar Shamrocks. They were just coming good at the time, and then in 92 we were beaten by Athlone in a county final, a semi-final in Moat. See, Cusack Park was stopped at that stage. 93 then we played the Downs in the semi-final. We actually had a good run in that because we had beaten, I think we'd beaten Thirds Pass, or no, we'd beaten, anyhow, we played the Downs in a real wet day, and David Kane got 2 goals. Like the following year then, we got to a county final, but you know, they had Bernard Flynn and that at the time, so they weren't able. The following year we were beaten by Thirds Pass. Thirds Pass got to the county final, and they were beaten by Mullingar as well. And the year after that then we played, the Downs had played Thirds Pass in a quarter final, I think, in Castletown Gagan, and the Nolan man died belonging to the Downs about 5 minutes before the end of the game, with Thirds Pass winning. And of course the game got abandoned, and of course the next time it went, the Downs beat them.
Yeah.
So we played the Downs then in the semi-final, and we drew with them. So everybody thought then, oh, their chance is gone anyway. We came out the second day, and we played great stuff altogether, and we beat them. And of course we were in Mullingar, in Castletown against Mullingar in the final again, but we weren't able for them, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of like, only for Mullingar we would have definitely won a couple more championships, I think, you know. But everybody was in the same boat, like, you know.
Yeah. And the fortunes kind of turned a bit then, and we ended up.
Yeah, then kind of probably that team then was kind of getting on, and that anyway the senior lads was probably getting on, and then I think we played, I think, Mullingar about in probably 96 or that anyway, and no, 96, 97 I think or that anyway, and then it reverted back to the league basis then anyway, but we were going downhill anyway, and we got relegated then in 2000. And it kind of like, we got to a couple of finals alright, but we found it very hard to get back up, like, you know. So I suppose, like, you know, the lads we had, like, you know, were the lads that came afterwards probably weren't the same, like the likes of Kevin's nephew there, Tom, like, and that anyway. Very hard to replace lads like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, but like, yeah, they came very good now in 2012, 13 and 14, like we probably should have been able to get back senior before we did, you know.
Yeah.
Like, but eventually in 2016 then, but you know all that anyway.
Yeah.
But I think myself, like, we needed to get back to senior a couple of years before that, because we would have made you know, settled in better at the senior grade at the time, because we had some very good players.
Yeah.
But so we live in hope anyway, you
Absolutely,
know. You know.
Do you remember Sean Dillon playing football?
I don't remember him, no. I heard about him alright, yeah.
Well, he was in a pitch. He was a hustler, man.
Yeah.
Who was his name?
Sean Kildillan was his name. He
Yeah.
was the...
Of course, the son of Shani.
Yeah.
Right.
Mrs. Shani,
Son
really.
of the previous teacher before Ben Hickey. He was corner forward, was he?
He could play anywhere.
Could he? Yeah.
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 Oh, he was way ahead.
Yeah.
Power and the strength. It was unbelievable.
I remember when Martin, my uncle, was playing, I remember when he got a ball, he was in the half-hour line, and he used to shout for Sean Kildillan, you know, and seemingly he was telling me, he says, Kildillan went up, no, he says, next time you get a ball, he says, don't shout my name, he says, leave it in, he says, about that much in front of me, he says, and I'll get it. But he says, don't shout my name, because you're drawing attention then to the others, like, you know.
Yes, yes.
But
I was
seemingly,
playing a corner forward one day, just over there beyond. And there was somebody coming with the ball, and the next thing Sean Dillon had it, and the man that I was marking ran out to meet Sean Dillon. And there was already about half a dozen men hanging over him, and he still kept coming. 2 men in this arm, 2 men in this arm, and that kicked with his legs and everything, they couldn't stop him. And I shouted, John said, get over here, say him and me own, and there's no one in the goal. Will they keep out of my way? And only I jumped over the way, I'd be put into the back of the net. Oh, he was a powerful man.
And tell me, Kevin, football has changed an awful lot in your lifetime.
A lot.
Do you think is it for the better, or?
I think it is.
Yeah.
to get away with the rough play. The rough play was terrible.
Yeah.
There was nothing long on it. It put me 5 minutes on. And anyone who was knocked out just run in and catch them with the arms and pull them to the sideline and someone else run in. And that's all there was. You could get better any way you like. That's all there was to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
There was that was nearly the only tactic in that time, was it?
yes, yes. With
Yeah.
no bottles or anything like that.
Yeah.
No.
And John, what's your thoughts on
And you
football?
see, the people knew better how to mind themselves.
Yeah.
You could go into the roof. I played in the roughest of games. I never got hurt.
Yeah.
Never. But I know I was very fast. Yes. And then there were a few little tricks I got them from Johnny Haley. And he showed me how to run in the same direction. Like I'd be playing in the box, but I'd run out the field waiting for some forwards. He'd be running in, and I'd just run beside him. And just as he'd be going to give him, stick the ball, give him the dunt. Well, I could put me twice my weight up and down. Yes. You see, they were going the same direction. And Johnny Haley told me that. Well, I said, I knew that trick would suit you. You were so fast. All I had to do was go a little bit faster than the man who was running to score the goal. And then there'd be someone inside to pick up the ball and kick it out again. That was it. So simple.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel a thing. It was just the speed that I had and go that bit harder.
Yeah. John, what's your thoughts on the changes in football then over the years?
You see, I think lads have gotten an awful lot fitter now than what they were anyway, so there's far less space in the field like in that, and some games now are hard to look at, like it's all a possession game, like, you know, and they're all kind of queuing up to get a shot away at the goals and that anyway. Sometimes now it is hard to look at, alright, like, you know.
Yeah.
Now, because that lads are a lot fitter, you know, and you'd often wonder would 13 aside better suited now, there might be a bit more space in that anyway. But then again, you see at county level it's so elite, like, you know, like, and you never see a lad now nearly kicking a ball to an opposite lad because he's afraid he'd lose the ball, like, you know.
Yeah. And I suppose to finish up then, what do you think the men that started the club would think now if they came back and seen it in the current form?
Well, of course, you see, it's like Kevin said, it's probably an awful lot cleaner than it was then anyway. So they'd probably agree with that anyway, you know. That,
I don't see every player now on the field he's played it the way Johnny Haley used to play.
Yeah.
He was, they talked about Sonny Charlie. Johnny Ward was through the crowd and he was a good man. But Johnny Haley was the man.
Yeah.
No, he was expert.
yeah, he was supposed to be a great footballer, all right.
Yeah.
You know.
Great. And got a lot of belts too. And there was an evening before the county final, and I don't know what year it'd be, going back a good bit. And I was only a cousin at the time. And I was down the road on my bike and I met Johnny Haley and he trying to cycle up the road and all he could do walk with one leg. How could I have pedalled with that? Look at the size of that. Up beyond the knee and it's all swollen out. I'm after trying about 10 houses to see whether I get a lot of goosegrass so much to take down the swelling. And not a bit anywhere. And I says, hey, you're in luck, so. I says, hey, my mother has 2-pound pot jams, all 5 or 6 of them above in the glass yet. Oh God, will you bring it out for me? And he hardly able to walk, and the 2 legs all swollen up. And so I went up and I told my mother the story, and she gave me this big potted goosegrass for him, and went down. I should have stayed and helped to rub it in, but I'd said the wife, and I don't know who she got, probably Rob Naves or someone, and she kept rubbing it in, and he was the best man on the field the next day, and the swelling all gone down.
Because of your mother's goosegrass.
Yes. Oh.
We could do it with a goosegrass now.
I think we could.
Now I suppose they have something more modern.
Yeah. Well, look at lads, thanks very much for
Okay,
your
thanks,
time this
Niall.
morning, and look at thanks for sharing your memories.
Mhm.